Now let's look at the Israel-Hamas war, a war that no side seems to be winning. The people of Gaza are dying by the thousands. Hamas is losing territory and infrastructure. Israel is chasing a goal that may backfire. Netanyahu's position is precarious, and for the US president, it may cost him the next election. In the next 4 minutes, we'll explain. Let's start with some history. Let me take you back to the year 1987. That's when the first Intifada began, the first Palestinian uprising. The protests broke out spontaneously. They weren't led by any group or individual. These were protests against Israel. And they led to the creation of an Islamic resistance movement, aka Hamas. Cut to 2023, this year, Hamas rules Gaza. It has carried out terrorist attacks and it is fighting a war with Israel. 66 days and counting, this war has been on. Israel says it will continue until they eradicate Hamas. But is that even possible? Hamas was born out of a cycle of violence. Can more violence end it? Or will it give birth to another Hamas? Qatar thinks it will. Their Prime Minister has spoken about this. He says this conflict could radicalize a whole new generation.
Seeing these images right now that's coming out of Gaza every day is not just affecting those forces which are in Lebanon, Yemen, or in Iraq, but it also affects an entire generation that might be radicalized because of these images, and seeing the international community not responding responsibly to it.
You may have a point there. The numbers are appalling. In Gaza, nearly 18,000 people have been killed. A child is killed every 10 minutes, according to some reports. 1 million people have been displaced. Israel says it wants to destroy Hamas and protect civilians, but that's not really what's happening. Hamas uses civilians as human shields. A lot of them are children. They did not vote for Hamas. They did not attack Israel, but they are victims in this war. Will this violence radicalize them and create a Hamas 2.0? We ask because history is full of such examples, of such vicious cycles of violence. Take the US invasion of Iraq. It is said to have given birth to the ISIS. Then there were the Gaza wars. Since 2008, Gazans have gone from one war to another, suffering death and destruction. An unemployment rate touching 50%. So many young men joined the Hamas. They lost their families, they had no jobs, they were easy to radicalize. And this war could lead to more such cases. Russia too has warned of this. It says fighting could lead to more radicalization and more terrorist activity. A bit rich coming from Russia, considering they're fighting a war of their own. But the MI5 thinks so too. And UN experts have raised this issue. They say that Israel's attempt to wipe out Hamas could lead to another resistance. So the warnings are all there from multiple quarters, but Israel remains undeterred. Their goal is fixed: destroy Hamas and take control of Gaza. And what happens next? Who will run the Gaza Strip? Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israel could control Gaza for an indefinite period. They did the same till 2005. It was a precarious control that met with a violent pushback. In 2005, Israel left and Hamas was elected by a landslide. So will this time be different? Also, occupying Gaza would be a controversial move. International support for Israel's offensive is already waning. US President Biden says reoccupation would be a big mistake. His Israel policy is backfiring. His voters are leaving him. They disapprove of Biden's support to Israel. And his own party, the Democrats, are divided. They fear that this war could cost them the White House. Look at the opinion polls. Here's the latest from the Wall Street Journal. It shows Biden at 43% and his rival Donald Trump at 47%. So Trump is leading by 4 points, and that is not good news for the US president. Usually, the incumbent has all the advantage in America, but that's not the case this time. The elections are still 10 months away, and Trump could extend his lead. So Joe Biden is recalibrating his support to Israel. On October 7th, after the Hamas attack, Biden said, America has Israel's back. But now, he has his own back to watch.